Fellow Sudokans, and welcome to Zen and the Art of the Guardian Sudoku puzzle for Saturday the 27th of November 2021. Welcome to the weekend. Hope you're going to have a great weekend. It's time for the Guardian expert level puzzle on a Saturday. I must warn you ahead of time that there may be some background noise here. They are cutting trees outside in the streets here, and the truck and chainsaw can be a bit loud. I'm hoping that they've gone far enough away now that it won't be too noisy, but I apologize ahead of time in case there are any interruptions. And sad day today in the news to report. We have to report the death of Stephen Sondheim. In my opinion, the only great musical composer alive up until yesterday. An absolute musical phenomenon. I'm not a big fan of musicals, I must admit. It's not really my cup of tea. But there have been some good composers over the years. But things that I don't like really are, in general, people like Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. They produce kind of musically boring and lyrically trite kind of music, in my opinion. Of course, you're entitled to your own opinion. If you like it, good for you. But if you compare that to the works of Sondheim, just an amazing songwriter whose lyrics are really shine, but whose music too is sophisticated and interesting. Really a wonderful composer in both respects. That means lyrics and music. A great musical force, really, has gone from us, so that's sad news, although he did live to the age of 91, which is a goodly span, isn't it? Anyway, so that's some sad news. And I as a fan of jazz, I like to point you in the direction of Herbie Hancock's treatment of some of the Sondheim songs. Years ago, I'm not sure how many years ago now, maybe it was in the 90s or 2000s or something, there was an album came out called Color and Light, which Herbie Hancock worked on with Sondheim himself and various other jazz artists to kind of put the songs in more of a jazz vein, and that's a wonderful album. Tremendous. So sad news there, and condolences to any of his family. Right, shall we get on with our Sudoku game, which is an expert level puzzle today? Let's just have a bash, shall we? If you've never played Sudoku before, well, we have squares in rows across and squares in columns down and squares in these blocks. 81 squares in total, but that's not important. You just have to know that there are 9 in a row, 9 in a column, and 9 in a block. And we fit numbers 1 to 9 in each of those so that they can appear once only. I think you understand what I mean, don't you? I certainly hope so. No, I did see a number. There we go. So for example, this 4 is in this column and cannot reappear again, so 4 cannot be in any of these 3 squares, and 4 blocks this square, a kind of blocking pattern if you prefer, up here and across here. So there is, in this region here, this outlined area, there is only one square that is not intersected by a 4, and so we know that the 4 must go there because it can't possibly go anywhere else. Okay, right. Now you've got the idea if you have never played the game before. And if you've never played the game before, I'm just wondering why you'd like to join on expert level day, but anyway, it's entirely your prerogative. Please feel free to join and try at any time. Okay, the 3 blocks down here, 3 blocks down here, just one square here that's not affected by an intersecting 3, so we know that's got to be there. Usually when we see 3 empty squares like this, we'll find out what they are. They are 7, 8 and 9. We have no intersecting 7s, 8s or 9s. So what else do we know? I'm sorry if you can hear any background bashing. They are now smashing up some of the wood, I think, from the trees that they're chopping down out there. It was very noisy early on. It seems to have died down a bit now. I'm hoping that it's that they've stopped their activity in their very loud activity. It's still early morning here, by the way. It's 8 o'clock, that's all. But people in Thailand do tend to work early in the morning, I think, just because it's cooler, you know, and they don't care who they wake up, really. Okay, I'm getting nowhere with this. So I think I'm going to put in some pencil marks immediately because I'm not seeing anything of great value. So 1 block's across here. So I'm going to put in candidates in these 2 squares. Now, if you've never played the Sudoku before, you might be wondering what this is. Well, these numbers I could place, but I've come to a bit of a halt at the moment, and so I'm placing numbers that are possible. So 1 block's across here. It means that 1 must be in either of these 2 squares, even though I can't tell which one is. I'm going to put a little note in the top left to say that that's just one of 2 possibilities there. Okay. And over here, I'm going to say 2 blocks down here, so 2 is in either that square or that square. And 2 blocks down here and across here, so 2 is in either that square or that square. And 2 blocks across here and up there, so 2 is either there or there. Okay, and what else? That, of course, is a tree chopper moving on the move. 4 blocking up here, 4 blocking up here. 4 goes in those 2 squares. 4 blocking down here, so 4 is in those squares there. 4 across here and across here. 4 goes in those squares there. Five blocking down here and 5 across here means that 5 is a pair in those squares there. 5 across here and across here, 5 is a pair here, and 5 blocking across here and 5 blocking across here and 5 down here, 5 is a pair in these 2 squares. 5 blocking up here, 5 blocking up here, 5 is a pair in those squares. Now, the reason I'm looking for pairs is pairs are particularly significant when playing the game of Sudoku, as you will learn if you play the game anywhere, any level. 6 blocking up here, any level other than easy. Right, now we found something interesting. Just a moment though, because I'm just going to fill in any other pairs of 6s if we have any others. No, we don't, but I have discovered something interesting. 6 blocks up here, 6 blocks up across here. Now 6 must be in one of these squares here, right? Now it's not, we can't limit it to 2 squares, we can't limit it to a pair, but we know it's in one of these 3 squares. So I'm going to put it, it's not a pair, so I'm going to put it in the bottom right, okay? But now we have 2, 4 and 6, 3 numbers in 3 squares. Now we also have this 5 here, but we don't need that 5 anymore. In fact, we can say that that 5 is not true because the 2, 4 and the 6 only can appear in these squares. So in fact, that 5 that we placed there can now be removed, and now we're left with a 5 here. That's the only place a 5 can go now. And we're going to say 5 blocking across here, 5 blocking across here, 5 up here. So we can place a pair of 5s there. Now I was looking at this 2 and 6 that we've discovered now. So here we had 3 numbers in 3 squares, and now we have 2 numbers in 2 squares. We sometimes call this a naked pair within this block here. So that means everything else must come in these 3 squares. We don't have to concern ourselves. So the 1 blocks across here, so we now know 1 is a pair in either this square or this square. And when we know that, that will block down here, and this one will block across here. So we know that 1 is also a pair there. Now 1 blocks across here, and down here. So we know that 1 is a pair in those squares now. Now back over here, so 3 blocks across here, so we know that 3 is a pair in these 2 squares. And now we can say 3 blocking up here, 3 blocking up here, and 3 blocking across here. So just 1 square 3 can go, and we'll put that in, and then we'll say blocking across here, the 3's got to go there. Now this 3 blocks all the way down here, 3 across here, 3 across here. So in fact 3 is a pair here. Now do you see this? It's the same as this. We have 2 numbers in 2 squares. Now we have 5 and 3 only available in these 2 squares. Now, like we did up here, we had to remove an extra number. This time we've got to remove that candidate 2 because that can't be there, because this is only either 5 or 3, nothing else. And so we know now that this must be a 2 because we had it down as part of a pair, right? And now we can say this 2 blocks across here, this 2 blocks across here. So that's a 2 there. This can't be a 2 now, it has to be a 6. And the 2 has to be there. Okay. Now we can put in a pair of 2's, 2 blocking across here, 2 blocking across here. So we know that 2 is a pair in those 2 squares there. The 6 that we looked at before, blocking up here, blocking up here, blocking across here. So 6 is now a pair in those squares there. There's one other number that's missing for this column now, and it's a 7. We have a 7 stopping this square from being a 7, so 7 is a pair there like that. Now 7 blocks down here, so we know that 7 is in these 2 squares. Now what do we understand? 1 and 7, look, only 1, only 7. So this 5 we must now remove. That's no good to us anymore, and we can place 5 here because it was a pair, and now 4 must go there because that's all that's left. We take out 4 and we say blocking across here, 4 blocking across here, and that's a pair of 4's there like that. This 5 means that this 5 is not true any longer. So we remove that, and when we do that, we're going to put in the 5 here. And notice we are overwriting a 6, which is part of a pair. So we can also place the 6. And now we can remove that 6 there. Okay. And this must be a 4. Okay, because that's the only number left. These 3 are, we already know these 3, they're the rest of them for that, and 2, 4 and 6 for the other numbers. So 4 must be there. And now we can remove the candidate 4 there. And in fact, I'm going to put 2 and 6 like this at the top because it's now a pair. So, well, that can make it a bit easier sometimes. I don't think this game's going to be too tough, but just in case it turns out like that. Sometimes it's a bit easier to notice where the pairs are. Right, this says 1 and 7. Here we have 1 and 7. So, but if you notice up here, we have one other empty square. So if this is 1 and 7, and we have one other empty square, well, this has also got to be 1 or 7, right? That makes sense. But you can see that we have an intersecting 1. So immediately we can say, no, this can't be 1. That's got to be 7. Therefore, that is the 1. And that is the 7 there. And also, this will be 1 up here now. 7, there's just one number missing, and that's a 1. And now we can say 1 blocking across here and 1 up the middle, so 1 is a pair in those squares there. The missing numbers here and here are 8 and 9, but we can't tell which is which. If we know that this is 8 and 9, we also know that this is 8 and 9, but this time we don't have any information to let us know which is which, so that's too bad. Right. Now we can see 7 blocking down here and 7 blocking across here, so we know that that's got to be a 7 there. And we also know that this must be a 7, right? Remember, this is only 5 or 3 in these two squares. It means no other number can come in here. That's why we removed the 2. Right, 7 blocks across here, 7 blocks across here. So no, no, and these two are no and no, so 7 must be in that square there. Right. We must be able to find out this because we know that this is 5 or 3. This is the only remaining square, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's no 8. We've got 9. So this has to be an 8 now. And now 8 blocking across here, 8 blocking across here, and 8 blocking up here will give us an 8. We'll notice we're overwriting a 2. So we know the 2 goes in that square there. And then this 2 means that that must be a 6 now because it can't be a 2. The 2 is here, a 6 is here. Okay. The missing number in this block is 9. We have everything except 9. Now we have an intersecting 9, stopping that from being a 9. So the 9 goes here and the 1 is in that square there. Now that means this over here can't be a 1 anymore. When we remove it, we're left with a single 7. And we also know that the 1 must be in this square because that's the only place for a 1 to go now, and the 3 is like that. We can now say that 3 is in one of these two squares because 3 blocking across here and across here. So we know that that's a pair of 3s. We can also find out the missing numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no 6. But we have an intersecting 6 here, so we can immediately say 6 is in that square and 5 is in that square there. Now back down here with our 5 and 3 pair, this 5 means that this must be a 3 and this must be a 5 instead. Okay, hasn't caused a lot of consternation yet, has it? What's missing down here? We must be able to get these two numbers because they're just the last numbers missing here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 5. So 6. 6 stops this from being a 6. So 6 is here. The last number is 9 for that block. Now we can find the missing number here. We've got 1, 2, 3. Well, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. So we're 8 missing from here. And we have an intersecting 8 here. So that's got to be the 8 and the 4 has to be there. The missing numbers here and here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't have 6. We don't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't have 7. We don't have 9. Sorry, 7 and 9 are the missing numbers here. Any intersecting 7s or 9s? No? Okay, so we'll just fill them in as candidates to help us remember. That is the point of the pencil marks. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. So we're missing 6 and 9. Now we can see that the 6 actually blocks down here and blocks down here. So we know that's got to be a 6. And our other missing number is a 9. So we'll write it in to remind us, like this. And now we've got one number missing from this column, and it's a 9 in fact. So we'll put that in now. Now this 9 means that this cannot be a 9 any longer, doesn't have that opportunity. 9 must be here. 8's in this square here now. One number missing across this row, it's an 8 if you remember. I did mention it some time ago. The 3 here now means that this can't be a 3, so the 3 is in this square. It's part of a pair. 4 is in that square there. The 4 blocks up here, the 4 blocks across here, so that's a 4, and this is our 1. Not really an expert level game, is it, this week? More like a medium level. 1, 2, 3. This missing number here is a 7, and the last number to get here is a 9. Okay, and what else is happening? This 1 means that this can't be 1, so 1 is here, 9 is here. Now 9 is there, so that's a 7, and that's our 9. 7 means that this can't be 7, so 7 goes here. The last number that we need to finish the game is an 8, and we shall just check before we pronounce victory. And yes, I think that looks to be in order. I don't see any obvious mistakes. If there are, somebody will tell me. So that's our Guardian Saturday puzzle. A bit of a letdown really, because we wait all week for an expert level Guardian, and occasionally we get one, but quite often, as in today's game, it's really much easier than that. Okay, thank you for sticking with me, and I'll be back later with some other Sudoku puzzles throughout the weekend. Bye bye now.